Hellground is no more, and obviously that's sad news, but I still would like to start the video today with something positive, and I will also gladly repeat myself on that one. Playing on Hellground has been a blast, and I do not regret a second of my life I have spent on that server. Not only did it rekindle the fun in this game, I mean, seeing all the TPC content again was just amazing itself, but it also rekindled my passion for private servers for a while. It was a non-profit project, and despite all the hate the server was receiving, all the DDoS, all the attempts to incite drama, the team around Hellground tried to ignore that and focused on the game to provide a good experience for everybody. And this resulted in one of the most pure and also joyful adventures I had in my gaming history, in my recent gaming history. For that alone, a huge thanks to everyone I had a pleasure playing with on the server, and especially everyone involved in this project. So onwards to the sad news. Hellground has been shut down by B. They call it B, and I think we all know what it stands for. And I'm not going to spell it out here since I do not want to get them into any more trouble than they probably are already in. But yeah, looking at this mail they send around, it becomes even more obvious than it already is. I mean, shutdowns of servers are always something you kinda expect while playing on them. It's something that lures in the back of your mind that stuff like this could always happen, and all the progress that you made on your characters could be gone in an instant. But when it does happen, it still hits kinda hard. After the whole Nostarius situation, this is the second big shutdown that I witnessed in my time playing on private servers. I mean, there are a few little ones before that, and usually servers just fizzle out or keep quiet about the reasons why they shut down, or it's just not noteworthy. But Nostarius was the first server where there was a big fuss about it. Interestingly enough though, it did hit a non-profit server again as with Nostarius. I mean, granted on Hellground there's a shop, but it's basically for vanity items, and seeing how stable the server was running at the beginning despite having thousands of players on them, I would argue that the money that they make with such a shop is just enough to pay the provider. I mean, it's always a bit iffy, that's only an estimate from me here. You never really know how profitable a server is, but to be honest, even if they make a few bucks, they spend so much time and effort on those servers, and there are so many people involved in such a project. I really wouldn't mind if they make a few bucks out of this. On top of that, they always have been transparent with their behavior, and I mean, there's no game breaking advantage you can get, like you can buy a bag, you can buy a tablet, and maybe arguably buying mounts is a bit game breaking to some extent, but I digress. Like, this is something everybody has to decide for themselves, if it's okay for them to have this non-Bliss-like feature in this case. For me it was okay, but I'm also like no omniscient presence who knows what's right and what's wrong. So bottom line is, I would call it a non-profit server. So as of now, I can't really get behind the criteria of such shutdowns. I mean, obviously popularity seems to be a key factor, but I mean, there are many other servers from all different kinds of expansions who have an even larger player base. One question is, why didn't they touch Elysium/Nostarius again? Well, for one, maybe they kinda did behind the scenes with like scolding the original staff, and to be honest, they didn't even have much to do after that besides watch the community deconstruct it themselves. And yeah, also here there was a lot of shady shit going on. But seriously, I think a lot of this could have been solved in a different way, but I digress again. So besides Elysium falling apart already, it probably also would have caused a much higher upset as well if they would go again against Elysium/Nostarius. It's the one server that already had some good recognition and coverage by media outlets. And to be honest, I don't think there will be that much uproar about Hellground. Second factor being, of course, the location of the host, probably also the biggest factor. I always did argue that Blizzard would have enough reach also to Russian servers if they really wanted to, but I mean, maybe there's a reason that Warmain is still around despite all its popularity in cash shops and stuff. Also something noteworthy here, there was no conscious decision making by the Hellground staff to shut down the server. There was no cease and desist letter. That's like a common thing in the private server scene. Some servers tend to ignore them, some servers, as Nostarius for example, decided to give in to the demand of Blizzard, but in this case they simply reached out to the provider and shut down the hosting server. Also one of the reasons why I'm really concerned about Gummi's up and coming TPC server. I mean, it's located in America and it's called Burning Crusade. And to be honest, that almost seems like asking for a shutdown under these circumstances. So where does this whole situation leave us? Well, without a server for one, but there are a few options. Hellground might return under a different name. The database is probably safe and maybe we see a revival as we did with Nostarius, although I do hope it won't take the same path. Second option, Hellground is gone for good since they are tired of putting up with all the bullshit. I mean, understandable, but not preferred of course. And the last option, who's probably the most viable one. In a few weeks, no one will talk about Hellground anymore. There will be a new TPC server that takes on the huge task of filling the gap of TPC servers. This one will get targeted by toxicity, DDoS from other servers, or just taken down by B, and ultimately be destroyed, because this is how we do it in this wonderful niche depressing gaming community.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
But on a more serious note, please stop being such toxic goons. Just enjoy the game we're all here for, some good old nostalgic World of Warcraft. It makes absolutely no sense to bash other servers, just because you play on a different one, for example. In the end, it's really just elitist and deconstructive behavior, and it will get us nowhere, you know. But enough about that. I mean, blaming parts of the community won't get us anywhere at this point. And I feel like criticizing behavior like this is almost as cliche as the drama in fear-mongering itself. So I will leave you with one final plea to the community. It's from a video I recorded about 2 months ago in the hopes it might change the mind of some people. Or at least to prove my point that the circle is probably going to repeat itself. In any case, I thank you very much for watching. I really hope Hellground will come back, and that one day we can leave the fights between servers behind to really just focus on the fun of the game. Until then, I say thanks again to all the hard work, to all the development and to all the players that are really just here for World of Warcraft. See you around. Bottom line is, we could have shown greatness in focusing on the main goal that unites this community. Again, the love for an old game that isn't available anymore, just playing that. Showing Bliss that even if they come after developers like Nostarius, that we will stand behind them and support them. But in that sense we failed completely as a community. Funnily enough, it's a community that always praises itself how much communication, trust, support mattered back in the day, back in the old game. It's fine and all that we stand behind Elysium now and that we will prevail, but I mean, what is it worth if we look at the exact same threads that were made a few months back about Nostarius? What does that say about the community and what kind of pressure does that apply to the Elysium project? If there will be anything that's bad or that is not accepted by the community from Elysium, will we let them fall like a hot potato again? I think in that regard we really have to change. It doesn't mean that you can't criticize certain things, please don't take this away from this. And I can understand that this positive mumbo jumbo is just really super annoying for some of you. And even for me, like talking about it, I kinda see why people would get annoyed from such a thing, but be harsh, be critical. I really don't want to forbid any of that and I can't, of course.